time for Geek Gab, and listener Bill brings us our quick tip of the week. He says there was a discussion recently about whether or not PDF documents would open in a separate tab or a separate window in the Preview app. Being on macOS 26 alone does not determine this behavior. The behavior is controlled by system settings, desktop and dock, Windows, and then the option prefer tabs when opening documents. There are then 3 options for this setting: never, always, and in full screen. The default appears to be full screen. He says, I have changed mine to always because in most circumstances, I prefer to keep the number of windows open to a minimum. If I want a separate window, I just drag a tab out and, of course, a new window will form. Note that this setting is system-wide so that it impacts most apps, not just Preview. This includes Safari, Pages, Numbers, and a host of others, although Safari has its own little setting that sometimes can override this. More quick tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Geek Gab 1135 for Monday, March 30th, National Pencil Day 2026. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Geek Gab, the show where you send in tips like that, we share them. You send in cool stuff found, we share it. You send in questions, we share them. We talk about answers. The goal being every single one of us gets to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include BBEdit from Barebones Software at barebones.com and stamps.com, where you can use code MGG to get 60 days risk-free. No long lines, no supplies, open anytime. We'll talk more about both of those in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And here also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete back from Texas after a 4-hour wait in the security line in Houston. That hurt.
Oh, you were flying out of Houston. That's right.
Yeah, I got the short end of that long line.
Yeah, it seems like there's because people were asking me when I traveled back from South by, they're like, oh my gosh, the security lines. I'm like, no, I think this is one of those things where it's happening at just enough airports that it gets national attention, but really it's limited to a select few airports, because Logan and Austin, which is, I mean, Austin's not that far from Houston of a drive. Yeah. In fact, it's less than a 4-hour drive from Houston, Pete.
Right. But the day prior, they were counting 3-hour lines. So I'm like, well, by the time I drive there and have to wait,
it's about right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's always something. We breezed right through in Dallas. We breezed right through in Logan. But Houston closed pre-check, and 4 hours of pain. It was special fun. I don't think I've ever stood in line for anything for 4 hours in my life. But
Yeah, I don't think I've done a 4-hour roller coaster line. That's
right?
not.
No,
yeah. Did the pilot at least make the plane ride fun like a roller coaster for you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
some
great.
loops and rolls and things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then then that's worth it. That's great.
Everyone was screaming.
Always. Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, I am always ready for National Pencil Day. I use mechanical pencil almost exclusively as my writing instrument. This is my favorite, the Pentel Twist Erase, and I have to use a 0.9 lead because otherwise I break the leads.
Pentel Twist Erase.
And then Zoe said,
in the basement.
Zoe Brings Bacon said, Apple Pencil Day, and it's funny because I actually have Apple pencils from the Cupertino, Apple store. So I have actual lead, wood and graphite pencils with Apple logos on them. Like original Apple pencils.
Like Apple pencils, not pencils lowercase p. Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Huh. Interesting. All right. I like it.
Well, now you can use your pencils tomorrow on National Backup Day to write down everything that's on your hard drive.
It's World Backup Day, Pete. There's no borders on backups.
No borders on backups.
So break out your pencils and write down everything on your computer.
That's the way to do it. If you get started today, you could finish by tomorrow. or a year from tomorrow, maybe.
Well, there's that whole linear timeline thing again, Dave.
There
What's
might be
up with
better. There might be better ways of backing up. I know we've talked about our backup strategies many times over the years. Is there anything new that any of us are doing in terms of our backups now versus a year ago? And I realize I'm putting us all on the spot. I did not prep anything with this question in mind either. But
I just hope.
Yeah, I add a lot more hope to it. Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, one of the things I did recently do, because I've got the two NAS drives running, I do mirror. Now, it's not really a backup, but I do mirror one of the folders on my NAS drives so that it not ideal, because if you delete something on one, it's going to delete it on the other.
Yes,
but I have it in two places.
Yeah.
In case, so it's more of if two drives fail, then I'm not going to lose it. So for different scenarios, backup in layers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not really doing anything different, I don't think.
I almost did, because of our conversation about when my chatbot ate my inbox. I thought, well, I need to be more intentional about backing up my email. It just so happened that same week I had a just a phone conversation scheduled with the CTO of Fastmail, because we had mentioned them on the show a couple times, and they're like, "Oh, we'd like to make sure you're like up to speed on things," and it was smart, And I mentioned, I'm like, "Hey, look, just so you know, you're going to get a notification that my chatbot ate my inbox, and Fastmail's mentioned there, but it wasn't your fault. Like, this was self-inflicted wound. No one's to blame except Dave." And I said, but it is interesting because it highlights the fact that email is not, it is sync only with the server. And there are no, it's not like Dropbox where you can go and see the 30 days of history or what have you. And he said, well, that's true about many email providers. He says, but that's not true about Fastmail. And I said, oh. And he says, yes. He says, if you go into your Fastmail interface and go to Options, Restore from Backup, they take a daily incremental snapshot of all emails and keep them for 1 week. And in addition to that, I went in and for the 6 days prior to today, that is true. I think it's, one backup per day. But for today, I can go back 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. I may be off on the increments, but there are increments that are much more granular than just 1 day. So you can easily go back in time on your Fastmail, which I thought was really interesting, and it just brings back the things that have been deleted. It doesn't change anything else. So I thought that was really interesting. So I didn't have to change my backup routine about my email. So there you go. But that's why.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I know. Cool. Yeah. But we all need to be aware of what's happening to our email.
Yes.
We have some email tips to get to. Should we get back to our quick tips? Last 2 days of the Sound Source giveaway from Rogue Amoeba at macgeekgab.com/giveaway. So make sure you sign up for that before it ends. Got to be in it to win it, folks. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. What?
Right.
We're good, right? Back to quick tips.
We are. In fact, I'm going to do one now. And this one's mine. I forget from whence I was inspired it, but I frequently go around with one AirPod in. And for the longest time, you couldn't do this. And it made it more difficult to hear, but now you can do this. Use noise cancellation with an AirPod in only one ear. You go to settings. You have to have your AirPod in and on in order to get it at the top of settings. But in iOS, go to settings, AirPods, and then accessibility. And then select enable noise cancellation with one AirPod. It works on any AirPod that has active noise cancellation. So it's going to be the AirPods Pro 1st, 2nd, 3rd generation. AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation, and that's not an all-inclusive list, I don't think. But anything with active noise cancellation now, iOS allows you to use one ear noise cancellation, which makes it so much nicer to be able to hear even with only one ear in. It's amazing how much louder, how much clearer it is.
I've never tried that, but I imagine, I mean, I believe what you're saying. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I believe my recollection is similar to having it in both ears. You can long press the stem to get it to go back and forth between transparency and noise cancellation.
Probably, I would imagine, yeah.
If you have the stem set that way, you can have your right stem and left stem set for different functions.
That's true.
So I would assume that persists. So yeah, but you're right. Yep. Yeah.
And that's what I have mine set for. A long press takes you between transparency mode and active noise cancellation.
Yep. Do you use adaptive mode ever, Pete?
No, I don't. I should. I should. Yeah. Although we saw Lainey Wilson whilst at the Houston Rodeo, and I used them for listening to the concert in transparency mode, and still limited me to 80 decibels. And everybody around me was complaining about the noise, and I was loving it. I'm just going, guys, I'm telling you, do this.
Yeah.
Do you have something to say about that, Adam?
No, it's just, I mean, I started using them for that, for concerts and loud noise situations, and it's fabulous.
It's fabulous. Yep. The one thing I have learned is you need to have a good seal. I know this will sound obvious as I'm saying it, but when you don't have a good seal with regular passive earplugs, sound just leaks in. When you don't have a good seal with AirPods, these are not regular passive earplugs, they are doing active things, I wind up hearing a lot of like terrible low-end distortion from like the kick drum or the bass guitar or whatever. So that's my instant indicator that my AirPods are not sealed properly, and then I kind of either take them out and reseal them or do something to move them around to get them back in. And for me, the only way I get a good seal is to use the Comply foam tips. Apple's I don't have AirPods. I don't have the latest AirPods Pro. It's possible that the foam tips that come with Apple's stuff would be fine for me. But using the Comply foam tips for AirPods, it was life-changing for me.
Yeah. Let me offer this then, though. I've got the latest AirPods Pro, and I have found that when I go for a run and I have those in tightly, it almost sounds like the bass kick drum, thump, 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 every time my foot hits. And it's like,
in your head. Yeah.
Yes. And it's clearly just the air is sealed in there. And so I've got tympanic pressure happening, thump, thump, thump. And I found that if I loosen that seal a little bit and pull them out and let them rest there more than cram them in and make that an airtight seal, I find that goes away for me. So if you're experiencing that, try loosening your AirPods and see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes really good sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's really annoying that thump is horrible. I can't do this.
And for using, well, actually, I have two things to share about this. I'm going to find, because Shokz, I saw Shokz at South by Southwest, and they, and CES, but they had something interesting at South by Southwest that I'm trying to look up here because I want to make sure I get the right model number of this. Where is it? Why won't it find it for me? Now I have to look online because I don't have the video right in front of me. But Shokz are the folks that made the bone conduction
love them
earphones, and they have so there's two things from Shokz that might help for your scenario. I mean, it means buying something different versus loosening your AirPods, Pete. But at South by Southwest, I was able to test out their OpenDots 1, which are fascinating because they don't go over your ear. They clip kind of on the almost on the outer ear.
Yeah. Do you want me to add that to the stage, Dave? They're not showing.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So they kind of they clamp around your ear, but they don't block any sound.
Interesting.
They just so everything from around you comes in, which is obviously they kind of target people who are running or cycling or amongst perhaps dangerous traffic for whatever reason, right? And so you can hear the music or whatever you want to listen to, a podcast, of course, and still have full access to all of the sound that's around you with no filters whatsoever. And I was impressed. These OpenDots 1, which are like $160, I tested them in the conference hall at South by Southwest, and they sounded great. Actually, they had a second booth. They were at some activation outside, and I tested them outside too, like amongst a city street. And it was like, I was shocked that I heard as much low end as I did. But they're good at that. They figured out how to make that happen. So I share that for a different solution for running and that sort of thing.
So yeah. So I reviewed some Shokz OpenFit Pro from CES this year. I don't know if they're available yet.
They are. The OpenFit Pros are also available.
Okay,
yep. They're about $100 more, and they go over the top of your ear.
Right.
As someone who wears things over the top of their ear often, right? Mm-hmm. Like in-ear monitors do that, right? They go into your ear and then the cord comes over the top. Some people are fine with it, and some people that little spot kind of where your ear sort of rolls into the top of it can get very sensitive, and so I think
you're
that's
not
where
fine with it.
Well, no, I am, but
okay.
I can see where people would have an issue, and that's why Shokz has made both the OpenFit Pro and the OpenDots 1 is like they're just two different ways of connecting. But yeah, the OpenFit Pros also sound great. Yeah,
my recollection on those was even though it's not in your ear, the active noise cancellation on those was off the charts good.
Yep,
it was amazing.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
You know what I had not checked, and I'm actually surprised by, because I was wondering if you could get the Apple AirPods Pro 3 ear tips for your AirPods Pro 2, and turns out you can't. Apple actually changed the connector.
It is a different interface.
Of course they did.
It's like deeper or something like that.
Well, they didn't change it from
differently.
Yeah, they didn't change it from Pro 1 to Pro 2. It's the same tips can be used interchangeably for both. So you can buy a set of Comply tips and use them on either one. Mm-hmm. But the Pro 3, they're on their own. Comply does have their own tips for the Pro 3s too. Yeah. But
Which I love those too.
Yeah.
Those are
I just thought, I wonder if you could just get the new tips for your old AirPods. It's
like,
nope. Oh, no. Bummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Apple does sell the tips separately, so.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Go with the Comply ones.
Yep. All right. Well, that was a nice little detour. So here we are. Yeah. Yep. Shall we get back to quick tips?
Yeah. David has one about mail. He says, hey there. Something that has always bugged me was how Apple did server-side rules. They did client-side in the latest version, and server-side is limited to iCloud.com and 100. Not that I need more, but okay. This always seemed like a kludge, and Outlook has had this for decades. Anyway, I've been doing some development with Claude and was able to create an AWS Lambda app password S3 hosted, that's a lot of stuff, a web page on my personal portal that uses EventBridge to pull my iCloud.com IMAP account, apply the CRUD rules I set up, and all of this pretty much falls into the free level of usage in AWS. I know there are other tools out there, but it bugged me having to forward or give others access to my email, and this solves a really nagging issue that I've had with Apple over the years. If you want the Terraform script to recreate this yourself, I guess that's maybe for us and maybe for the audience. I don't know. Let me know. Thanks for the great content and podcast.
Discord is a great place to post that stuff if you're someone who wants to share with the
Right.
MGG community. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. This is well. I'll let you share your thoughts on this, Adam, and then I have thoughts about it too.
No, I mean that's really cool that you could do that sort of thing, and doing Claude and stuff to produce us is a great way to go, and I'm glad it works. And yeah, it's one of those things, because I think I've been pretty open that I've been a now I'm going to blank on their email client that I've been using for years.
Spark,
thank you. From the same creators as SetApp. I've been using Spark as my
no,
email
Spark
client.
is from Readle. Different than
sorry.
SetApp. Same country.
Mixing the two up.
Same country, different app, different
Thank you
different
for
company.
the correction.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but so I've been using Spark. Well, was using it as my exclusive email client for a long time, and they have some of these features and stuff like that where they have additional filtering and stuff, but it does go through their server system, as far as I know. And I know people are leery about that sometimes, like letting a third party, or also, Dave, you and I both use SaneBox, and obviously, that's happening on their stuff too. So
100%. Yeah.
I've been okay with that, but I can understand completely how people might be uncomfortable with that sort of thing. And this seems like a great way to go about that if you're so technically inclined. I'm curious how involved the actual install and setup and all that stuff is, but that's great.
This stuff, especially anything that's using AI, obviously is evolving at the technical level, evolving very, very quickly, but also at the usage and the barrier to entry level is evolving very quickly. And as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a reason my chatbot ate my inbox, and it's because I was doing exactly things like this with it using OpenClaw, right? And I didn't realize I screwed up. It wasn't an intentional mistake, but it was a mistake, right? I misengineered the engine, and it misunderstood me, and there was a gap. It didn't read my mind. It did what I told it to do, right? And
Whoops.
Yep, exactly. And I had a whoopsie, right? But it's fine. Like, it happens. Since then, though, there have been, just the last month or whatever, things like Claude Cowork and Dispatch, and I'll explain why, and Perplexity Computer and OpenAI's got their thing coming. There are much more robust, customer-friendly engines that you can run on your computer to accomplish on your Mac to accomplish these same things. And like Claude Cowork is one of these. There's connectors for various different ways of having it connect to your email. There's a Gmail connector built in. There's an IMAP connector that you can install. There's a JMAP connector, and JMAP is Fastmail's open source JSON-based email interaction protocol. And once you wire up a connector to let Claude Cowork talk to your email service of choice, then it can do all of these things for you. And what's cool is that Claude Dispatch lets you control Claude Cowork runs on your Mac. You would run it on one Mac. You would leave your Mac running all the time. And then Claude Dispatch lets you use your phone to talk to that Mac and prompt it to do different things. So it's essentially like what OpenClaw is. So like you could set this kind of thing up in a variety of different ways. There's nothing wrong with the way David did it. If you don't want to go get a server at AWS and do all those things, you might be able to do what you want to do on your Mac with Claude Cowork and Dispatch. So we're recording this on Friday, March 27th. It comes out on Monday, March 30th. I'm guessing by some point in April, everything I just said will have been, surpassed by something else or a new version of whatever we're talking about here. So, yeah, but it's pretty cool. So, yepper. Anyway, there we go. Do we have more on that, or shall I get us back to email with Ben?
No, I think we're good.
Great. Ben shares, he says, you had a discussion about Apple Mail categories, and you are correct that Apple's algorithm does the initial filtering to assign categories to email messages. However, just like SaneBox, you can then do further training. A categorized sender action in each mail app allows you to act on a selected message and decide which category to assign that particular sender in the future. When issuing the command, all existing and future messages get the chosen category. Apple's got a support document about it that instructs Mac users to reach category sender via the contextual menu, like right-clicking. However, there's also a button that you can add to the Mail toolbar. Interesting. I did not know this. Love this. Thank you so much, Ben. That's great. All right. Fun. Cool.
Fantastic.
Uh-huh. All right. That's really good to know. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to need to play with that because I've been using their categories so far, and it's been okay, but not great, I would say.
Yeah. Huh. Who knew? Well, I mean, Ben knew.
Turns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you know.
And now you get to know. Yeah. Interesting. Categorized sender. Yeah, there it is. Fascinating. Love it.
All right.
Moving on.
Yeah. So John wrote in and said he needed to kill a process in terminal using killall and then the process name, and it wasn't dying. And then he realized that the flag -9 makes sure it dies. Who knew? So the bottom line is if you use killall in the process name, it asks the process nicely to please go away. But if it is stubborn, it won't necessarily go away. So if you use killall and then the process name and the -9 flag, it kicks down the door and kills it. So the way to get the name, though, because you have to use the exact name in terminal or it doesn't do anything for you. I use Activity Monitor, open it up, make sure I've got the name correctly, or you can use the process ID number, which is the PID column. You can grab that and stick that in there in the terminal to kill it. So if you're having trouble getting terminal to kill your process that is hung, you can use killall -9.
Cool. I always use -kill in capital letters. It's the same as -9.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know why. I never remember. My fingers don't know -9.
Yeah.
But yeah, -kill, all capital letters. If your process name has a space in it, you need to put the whole thing in quotes too.
Oh, good point. That's why I like the process ID number.
The PID is better. Yeah. Well, so this is one of those interesting things. Killall lets you issue a name or a PID. Kill lets you only issue a PID, to my knowledge. I don't think that's changed in recent builds of macOS. So I may my Unix history may be betraying itself here. And the -9 and the kill work. Those switches work with either kill or kill all. So, but kill all. The nice part about kill all, if you issue a PID, the process ID, it will only kill processes that match that ID. It will kill all processes that match that ID, but there will be only one because process IDs are unique. However, what kill all does that's different from kill is if you have, say, 4 copies of Finder running because something has run amok.
Gone amiss.
Kill all will kill all processes with that name. And so that's where that can be super valuable. And Finder's a terrible example because it's I'm sure it's happened to someone, but it's rare. But you might have some daemon running that spawned extra copies, and you're like, no, I want all of them done. And so that's where kill all comes in.
So there is a user column in Activity Monitor.
Yep.
Are there any you would avoid killing? Or I mean, I guess if you got to kill something, you got to kill it. But are there any users that you would avoid?
Well, the nice part about the command that you shared is that it would only allow you to kill processes owned by your user.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If you wanted to kill a process owned by another user, you would need to precede the command with sudo, S-U-D-O,
Right,
because you need to do it
Okay.
as a super user, right? So
Yeah.
once you are issuing sudo, all bets are off. And so any process that's owned by root would be something that you'd want to look at and ask yourself, why am I killing? Do I know what I'm doing by killing this? Like that would be it. I mean, the thing is, on your Mac, the worst thing that happens is you wedge it and you just have to force reboot it.
Yeah.
You might lose some data if you've been working on something, but that would be kind of that's kind of worst case scenario. So, yeah. All right, where are we? We moving on?
We're with Adam wondering about the differences between doing this in Activity Monitor with the stop button versus the terminal command.
Well, there you go, using the simple method, Adam.
Well, it's not quite the same because apparently what Activity Monitor does is when you hit the stop button, for example, it sends a sig term signal, which is not exactly the same as a kill. You can also do a force quit, which also sends a sig kill which sends a sig kill command. And I guess it's a little more graceful about it, not quite as abrupt in kind of layman's terms, I guess.
Doesn't cut its throat.
Yeah, but I mean, the practical result is similar from what I understand. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, I don't think there's huge differences. So it behaves the same, but there's a little more granularity with the kill all commands in terms of what you can actually do.
Yeah, so it's the -9 switch or the -kill switch that is the difference maker here. Because if you issue kill or even kill all from the terminal without any switches, that is a sig term, right? That's I'm telling you to shut down gracefully. And if the process can listen, it will, right? Presumably. Whereas -9, instead of sending sig term, it sends sig kill, which just forces the OS to kill it, not to pass along a "would you please quit yourself" message. So that's the difference. So you could effectively do the same thing from terminal just by issuing kill PID or kill all, process name without the -9.
But you can't do it. Can you do a force quit from Activity Monitor? I know if you do Command Option Escape, you can force quit applications, but
the only way I've seen Activity Monitor let you do a force or let you do a kill is when you tell it to you say stop or whatever it is. I don't have Activity Monitor up, but whatever.
Well, you select the process and then there's a little stop. There's literally a stop button and then toolbar.
Right. So that sends your sig term, no extra switches. And then I think Activity Monitor sort of monitors that for you. No great surprise. And will come back and say, hey, this didn't stop. Do you want me to force it to quit? Right? There's a little timer that it puts on itself. And then at that point, it will send a sig kill. Or if a process is in red, or whatever it is, again, I don't have Activity Monitor open, but when Activity Monitor knows that a process is hung, then it will send a sig kill when you hit the stop button. Like I think it'll ask you, but yes.
Here's something cool that I've never seen before. So another cool quick tip. So in Activity Monitor, if you select a process and go under the View menu, there is because I was trying to see if the whole option, trick would work. So there is a quit process option, but there also is a send signal to process option. If you click that, you get a drop down and you get all kinds of options. So you get hang up, interrupt, stop, continue, quit, abort, kill, alarm, info request, and then you have some user defined options. I don't know what those are. But yeah, you can send all kinds of processes, signals to your processes if you want from Activity Monitor. I've never noticed that before.
Huh. Same. Look at that. Yeah, you can send all kinds of, and yes, you can choose Sig Kill. That's right. Huh.
Turns out there's a menu in Activity Monitor at the top.
Yeah, but this shouldn't be in the View menu.
Right.
That's just somebody was like, hey, can we add a top level menu to Activity Monitor? No. All right, cool. We're going to put these things in the View menu. Fine. Like that or
yeah, it's a weird spot.
We have put these things in the View menu. Don't tell anybody. Like,
I was trying to control click or right click. I'd like a contextual menu, and I don't think that was working for me. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
Anything. At least I don't think I saw those.
It's not. I don't see it there. That's really interesting.
It's under the View menu. There's a bunch of options that I'm gonna have to play with.
Wow, nice find, huh?
Apparently, you can also run a spin dump.
Yeah, which also doesn't belong in the View menu. Huh. But I'm glad these things are there. Like that's really great. Interesting. So yeah, this is a safer way to do it. Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Kiwi Graham makes me laugh.
Yeah, Kiwi Graham is sending bad things that we are not going to share on the show. Bad advice. Yeah. Just bad advice. With his tongue firmly in his cheek. We just, know how it's fine in the chat stream. It's all good. It's fun. It's great. But we also know how sound bites work. And if we say the wrong thing and somebody slices it up and puts it out there, then you're just going to get bad advice without context. That's all. Yeah. It's funny. Thank you, Kiwi Graham. Good stuff. If you want to join the Discord chat, go to macgeekgab.com/Discord or macgeekgab.com/live. Or download the newly updated Mac Geek Gab iOS app, and then that will have links to all of these things too, and let you listen to the live streams when we are live streaming. New update for the app coming soon. It has been completely 98% of it has been ported from Objective-C over to Swift and Swift UI, which has been kind of fun. So it makes it a little smoother and, it's fun. So anyway, that should show up maybe this week. I haven't pushed it yet, but close. We're just gonna.
Am I up again for our last tip?
You are.
Where we're at?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got Tim. He says another quick tip reminder about reminders. It's my birthday month. Well, happy birthday, Tim. And I make sure to include my birthday in all the different store and restaurant apps because many offer some type of birthday reward. The trick is remembering who, what, and when it expires. Many will send an email, and I save those emails in their own birthday reward folder. But this year, I am using reminders with a birthday rewards reminder list so that I can be reminded, hey, don't forget that reward that's about to expire. I'm sure you and the listeners have figured this out many birthdays ago. No, I haven't. But in case someone hasn't, there you go.
Love it. That's good. That's good. Well, yet again, our quick tips took us down many tangents, and maybe the tips were quick, but we weren't. We have questions, hopefully some cool stuff found too. And the next thing we want to do is, and are appreciative of being able to do, is to tell you about our sponsors. So imagine your text editor actually helping you think, right? That's BBEdit 15.5, and I've got it open all day on every single one of my Macs. With BBEdit's new Apple Intelligence writing tools support, I can get inline summaries, proofreading, and composition help right where I'm working without leaving the text editor, right? It speaks geek fluently, right? FTPS for secure remote editing and deployment, smarter Git navigation, which has been awesome lately, and a seriously tuned engine that makes huge multi-file searches, complex grep, and markdown work feel instant, because it kind of is. There's even that strip diacriticals transform for cleaning up accented text, which mostly I mentioned because I like saying strip diacriticals, plus markdown headings and auto indent and fold so that big docs stay organized. Don't get caught using a toy editor. Grab BBEdit and enjoy their 30-day full-featured eval period, right? And if you're already a customer, there's discounted upgrade pricing waiting for you at barebones.com. Go check it out. I love it. I think you're going to like it. And our thanks to Barebones for sponsoring this episode. And you know how we're always talking about using tech to automate all the boring stuff so that we don't get caught wasting time? We do this all the time. It's what we've been talking about all episodes, what we do most episodes, right? With Stamps.com, our sponsor, mailing and shipping can finally catch up to the rest of your workflow, right? You can do it from your Mac or your iPhone 24/7. You print carrier-compliant labels on demand and get up to 90% off of FedEx, UPS, and USPS rates. There's no lines, no meter leases, no wasted trips. I love that I can see exactly what I've sent and what I've spent, right, with the tracking and analytics all baked in. It's great stuff. I've used Stamps.com for years on and off with different businesses. Every time it just delivers. And right now, you can try Stamps.com risk-free for 60 days. Go to Stamps.com and make sure to use code MGG to get 60 days risk-free. 60 days gives you plenty of time to see exactly how much time and money you're saving on every shipment. Go check it out. That's Stamps.com, code MGG. One more time, that's Stamps.com, code MGG. Like I said, go check it out. I like it. I think you're going to like it. And our thanks to Stamps.com for sponsoring this episode. All right, question time, right?
Questions. And I think I am up first, right? With
I
one
think so.
From JP?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. JP says, I've been humming along with my Synology drives for over 5 years now without an issue. Exos drives for all of them. Do I just wait till one fails to replace, or am I supposed to put fresh drives in over the years? Great question.
I got a simple answer for it, too. Yes. All right. Here's the thing. The drives are set up to last a long time. You said the Marine Corps, it lasts a long time. Laminate it and take it to the field. Drives do really well, and at least I don't know about the other brands, but Synology sends you updates once a month if you set it up that way and go, hey, all drives are healthy, or hey, I had an issue with this one and maybe losing a sector, that sort of thing. And the only drives that have ever failed on me have had sectors start to go bad. Doesn't mean you can't have a catastrophic failure of a drive here and there. But as long as you're set up with single drive redundancy like SHR1 or RAID 5 or something, you should be fine if a drive goes kaput. That being said, the other thing I think is wise to do is to have a spare drive handy so that if one does go kaput, you've got another one you can stick right in there. It can begin rebuilding itself and get your repair underway before a second one goes kaput. So I wouldn't replace one. That seems like an unnecessary expense, but I would certainly have at least one spare on hand. I don't know. What do you guys do?
I'm happy to chime in, Adam, unless you've got somewhere to take this.
No, I'm kind of in the same place. I mean, I was going to mention, I upgraded that Synology that I had, and I think you had originally sent me one, Dave, one of your old ones with the drives. And I don't even know how old those drives are, but those are still the drives that I have and the one that I have.
Sure.
And they've been humming along they're probably, I got to imagine they're 10 years old at this point. I don't even know.
I have some practices that I live by whenever possible. The first is I like you talked about, Pete, I only use one disk fault tolerance, which means if two drives were to die at this exact same time in my Synology, or if I had a dead drive that I did not address and another one died, I would be in real trouble. But so with one drive fault tolerance, when I have a problem with a drive, I absolutely address it immediately. You mentioned having a spare. If you can work it so that you have an empty drive bay or an unused drive bay in your NAS, you can put a hot spare in.
Right, I forgot about that.
And I have a hot spare in the two NASs that are kind of my workhorse units. And when a drive dies, I get a notification that the drive has gone, whatever. Its error rate is beyond that which the disk station calls acceptable. And it immediately, because there's a drive in the hot spare, starts it. The
you
process.
Don't even have to physically swap
no,
it. Yeah,
it starts the process of decommissioning, and I like somehow invariably drives die when I'm traveling, and I'll get the notification on my phone, and it'll be like, all right, yep, there it is. It's like it's rolling over, and I have a lot of data on my Synology, so it takes might take a couple of days for it to kind of fully go through that process.
Itself.
Yeah. And then what I do is once it's finished with that process, I take the old drive out and I put a new drive in that is larger than the drives that are in there, because I know that I'm going to fill up my Synology over time. And so the way that I increase my storage capacity is every time I replace a drive, I just go larger and larger and larger, and that I don't always get it quite right. I have run into some problems where it's like, oh crap, I need to decommission a perfectly good drive because I don't have enough space, But so that's been my sort of general practice, and it has served me very, very well.
Yeah. I ran a hot spare for a while and forgot about that, but I changed it over just because I wanted more space available.
Yeah.
So I have a cold spare now, but it requires my presence.
Yeah, or someone's presence. It really is a straightforward process to replace these drives, and most of the NAS units that we talk about on the show here allow you to replace a drive while the unit is up and running. Yeah. But the one thing you got to be really careful of is ensuring that you only remove the correct drive.
Don't pull a good drive.
Don't pull a good drive, especially when you've got when you're one down already, because yep.
I just shut them down anyway. Like, it's not that difficult.
No, you're right. It's not, and it is safer that way for sure. But they are
worry about it.
Yeah, they are built to do it, and the hot spare obviously just happens, kind of magically. It's just like, here we go, off to the races.
The question I have is about adding larger drives to an array you already have set up. If it's just a single drive, do you still gain the additional storage, or does it need to be? I thought it needed to be more than just a single drive that would open up
You're
extra
right.
storage.
Yeah, if you add a drive that is larger than any other drive in your NAS, the additional space that drive would bring to the table is it's unused, and it's put in what's called reserved mode, because in order for there to be fault tolerance, you need something, at least one drive that's the same size, so that it has its partner in fault tolerance, if you will. And I'm oversimplifying, but that's really, I'm not, like, that's generally true. But what happens is when I add, let's say, I've got a bunch of 10 terabyte drives and I put a 12 in. Okay, well, at least now I've taken out a 10, I put in a 12 because the 10 died or whatever. Okay, fine, right. Great. And then when I put the 14 in, I get the extra space of the 12. Right. And then when I put the 16 in, I get the extra space of the 14. So you're right that you are not using the space fully, but that's how things go. And candidly, sometimes if I'll look and say, okay, how much storage am I using? Do I need to go to a 16? Could I just put another 14 in? Would that be okay? So, but good question. Yep.
Because I think I take it back. I said all those drives are going fine. I do remember. I think I had one fail, and I just swapped it out. I think for a same size drive because I didn't need anything more, and it was cheap when I bought it. So it was like, just buy the same size. And I do have some cold spares sitting around, I think, that are now double the size. But I seem to remember having a conversation with you where it's like, if you just put one in, you got to kind of put in multiple. I think I have two of them. I think I have all fours in there, and there's probably, I think I have 2 8 terabyte drives sitting around.
There you go.
So,
yep. Yeah. In order for that to work, but you can only replace one drive at a time.
Right.
And it will take a couple of days. But if you're saving those 8s for when if you don't need the 8s for the storage, you're doing the right thing, right? Because better to like fully utilize the lifespan of the 4s before beginning the lifespan of the 8s. Like drives, generally speaking, don't die from not being used. They die from, it's the mechanical operation of running. Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Kiwi Graham says, I wouldn't want to keep a spare sitting doing nothing for too many months. It could seize up just like an external drive that isn't used. I suppose that's true. I have not experienced that at all. It's not running. It's not kept hot. It is literally sitting there, unused. And I've never had problem with one that, that's been sitting there for a year or more, firing up when I needed it to fire up. That's never been an issue for me. So, but that doesn't mean it won't be. So, yep.
Right. Now you've done it.
Yep, exactly. I'll knock on wood while you read Roger's question, Pete.
Roger, yeah, he wrote into feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
What was that? Feedback at macgeekgab.com?
That's where he wrote to us. And he said, hi. I like to watch my movies and TV shows when I'm traveling using the Apple TV app on either my iPhone or iPad, which I've previously stored on my Mac as home movies and uploaded to the device. Since from years ago, when storing them as movies, it stopped working. Since iOS 26 has come out, this has become more difficult as the titles have now disappeared from the iPhone or iPad, leaving just the runtime and a picture of the show. Although clicking on the show brings up the title, he says, I called Apple support, but they were unable to help. Is there any fix for this? Or perhaps better still, is there a better way to watch, say, movies on the iPad, which works properly, please? Love the show and always listen. Roger from the UK. Thanks for writing in, Roger.
Roger's correct that I don't watch my movies this way, so I did not notice this, but he's right that the UX for this has changed, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So, okay, all right, yeah, you can confirm. Yeah. There are many different ways of solving this. What some folks have done is to download or even build custom poster images and then using their Macs to add that as metadata to the movie. And then you still can't see the title of the movie written in text, but if it's in the poster image, it gives you, that might be enough. So maybe, that would be a solution. It's not the greatest, but potentially workable. Other solutions just simply involved using a different app. The three that sort of come up in this conversation are VLC, Infuse, and Plex. VLC is free, and you can store your movies on like a shared location or even your iCloud drive, depending on how much storage you're talking about. And that VLC could see all of these apps will let you see the name of the file or the movie and, kind of solve that. Infuse or Plex each operate a little bit differently. You would run one on your Mac as sort of the server and then point it at the same movie libraries folder that you use with everything else. You don't need to make copies of your movies to do this. You can just point it right there. And both Infuse and Plex display titles and give way better sort options. Infuse is probably the place to start playing around with this, maybe, because it can be a client to your Plex library too, but it can be a client to just a folder of things. It depends on what you're doing with everything else with regards to your movies. If setting up a Plex server is something you've been thinking about for a little while, then this is the perfect time to do that, because then you could either use the Plex app or the Infuse app on your iPad and see things. And the same on your Apple TV. We generally use the Infuse app on our Apple TV to play stuff from our Plex library, just because I like the experience better, and it does a better job pulling in like Atmos sound at times when the Plex app isn't smart enough to do that. So, but those would be the three apps that I would recommend for solving this problem. VLC is probably the place to start, I guess. Yep. It depends on. It depends on your specific it's of your use case there. But
are there any formats that VLC won't play? I mean, that's the thing about that is it's so versatile.
Well, I mean, on your that question is answered differently on your Mac versus your iOS devices. But VLC will play multiple formats on your iPad that the Movies app isn't smart enough to realize it can play, but they're all using the decoders that are built into your iMac, not your iPad. Not really germane to this question, but as a tangent, yes, VLC's very good at playing things that your iPad doesn't realize it can play.
Yep.
There was another app too, and now I'm going to have to. I'll think of it.
Okay.
I know I had it on my iPad, which I haven't used in weeks, if not months, and you could throw anything into that too. And I suspect that it had, something like VLC in its background or something to actually do it, but it would play anything. I'll think of it and get back to you. Sorry.
No, that's good.
Sorry.
Taking us moving on, Adam?
Yeah, Mark has a question for us. He says, "My good brothers." I like that. A nod to you three as you slay our IT dragons. A doctor, client of, I'm assuming his, is trying to access the Rhythm Express site, so a specific website. It looks like it's maybe related to ECG stuff, being a doctor. He says when he does this, his NordVPN is active and he cannot log into that site. He travels to London and this becomes a problem for him. The other sites he needs to access work fine with the VPN running. So what is going on and why and how, I would assume? I mean, this is similar to the conversation we had 2 weeks ago in 1133 when Michael asked, why Pete, you answered the question, why does he have issues logging into the US VPN versus a Canadian VPN? Like, why do some sites block me here versus there? And the answer is, coming from the same source, VPN endpoints, that being the IP address that you come from when you tunnel through a VPN, right? There's the IP address you're actually on. You tunnel into, in this case, NordVPN, and then Nord sort of spits you out onto the internet using one of their servers, and that's what I mean by the endpoint. Well, I'm right about that, right? Like,
yeah. Spit you out.
It does. They spit you out onto the internet using their thing. It makes you appear as though you're coming from there. And so the thing is, those endpoints in general are known VPN endpoints, right? And there are lots of reasons why that might be something a service provider would want to block. For example, like when my daughter's in Italy, she can't access her USA-based checking account online from an Italian IP address. They're like, they're blocking it. And I mean, the thought is you have no business being here. She obviously does have business being there, but they, for their security measures, have decided the risk of letting non-US IPs in is greater than the risk of blocking a legitimate customer who is, not in the United States. And so she has to use a VPN to get into her bank. Now, here's the thing. Her bank may also be blocking VPN addresses, similar to exactly what Mark is describing here. So the way to bypass this is to use an endpoint that is unknown or not known to be a VPN address. And one of the best ones to use is your home network, if you happen to have a home network. Now, of course, my daughter's home network is at her home in Italy, but my home network here is in the United States. And so we have, over the years, have had various different VPN servers set up. That many routers will let you do that. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can set up. But in today's world, the first thing I would recommend is Tailscale and using an exit node, because you can set up one of your always-on devices in your home. It could be a Mac if you want to leave a Mac on all the time. It could be a disk station. We're talking about NAS in this episode. You can set that up to be an endpoint or an exit node, sorry. And you can also set your Apple TV to be an exit node. So that's the default one that our family uses, is our Apple TV in the living room. And it works great as an exit node. And we, just connect to that over, we're always connected to Tailscale. And so just say, choose that exit node, and then boom, there you are. It's up here. It's as though you're coming from Durham, New Hampshire. So there you go. Yep. Yeah. So that's how I would solve that problem. And that's why that's happening, Mark. So hopefully that helps. Shall we, if there's anything to add to that, or shall we move on? We still have time for another question, I think.
So I found the app I was talking about, and it's totally counterintuitive, but it's called GoodReader, which is more, I always used it as a PDF thing at first, but I learned to watch movies and TV shows in it. GoodReader is a iOS app that works fantastic for
playing movies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Good to know.
And thusly keeps it organized as well. Now you have to have it downloaded. It's not like, it doesn't stream, but.
All right. Adam, I'm going to let you choose. Should we let this be our jump to Cool Stuff Found, or should we go back to GW's question?
I'm okay with either, really. Let's do GW's real quick. I think we can maybe hit both.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. All right, let's do GW's question.
GW wrote in, he says, I was at a coffee shop and saw across the room a MacBook with the lit up Apple logo. I still think that was the coolest part of the MacBook, shining for everyone to see. I wish they never phased that out.
Yeah, again, don't we all? I think we really, I miss it as well, but I'll try to add some context here, because it was my understanding, and with that understanding, I went and did a little research and kind of validated my understanding of this. But there were actual design and, more importantly, engineering reasons why Apple had to phase out the glowing Apple logo, and it all comes down to their ever relentless pursuit, in many ways, of thinness, along with some display technology that they wanted to go after. So the thinner displays made it basically less practical, less technically possible to have that glowing logo, just because I think they found the Apple logo cutout as the displays got thinner impacted more significantly the structural integrity of the actual display. So it's not so much fitting the components in there as it is hey, we've got a giant hole in the back of the lid, cut out. And that's the metal's going to flex a little more. It's going to be not quite as rigid. So that was part of it. And then Retina displays required a more opaque backing to them. So Apple was always using the display itself to help add that glow. And so by putting that more opaque backing in there, that impacts that. So now you need a separate light source to actually cause the glow, which is fine and could be done. But now when you're trying to maximize battery efficiency, what's more important, having a glowing logo or a little bit extra battery? And I think they made a lot of trade-off decisions when it came back to this. Now, again, I think the engineering folks at Apple are super smart, and could they make this work and figure out a solution and do all that stuff? Yeah, probably. Will they? I doubt it at this point. And it may just be something that is lost to time. And I guess progress. I don't know if we could have a debate probably about it.
Sure.
If the glowing Apple logo not being there is actual progress or not. But I'm with you. Seeing all those glowing, especially now that more people are buying MacBooks. Apparently, Tim Cook came out and said that the Neo has caused the largest jump in first-time MacBook ownership that Apple has ever seen.
Turns out price is important.
Yeah. One thing I will point out, and I will give a tip of the hat to the person who pointed this out to me, is that the MacBook Neo, very relevant to this conversation, does not have a glowing Apple on the back. It also does not have a backlit keyboard.
Correct.
If that's important to you. And I learned that on Saturday because our dear friend John Martellaro was in the market to perhaps buy a MacBook Neo, and then said it was off his list when he realized that was that it did not have a backlit keyboard. As many of you might know, several days later, we actually lost John Martellaro. John, he actually was in fine health, but he'd had some issues over the years, as everybody kind of does as we get older. And on Wednesday of this week. He moved on. He passed on, and John was one of the smartest people I knew. He wrote for us at Mac Observer for a long time and was really truly a member of our Mac Observer family there. And he will be well remembered and missed.
Sorry, I'm giggling because I'm picturing John up there hanging with Steve Jobs and like what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm not laughing at. I'm very sad we lost John. I mean, he was a great human being, and I'm glad I had a brief opportunity to know him. Incredibly smart and amazing. But yeah, as you were saying that, I got this thought in my head. I'm like, oh man, John's up there with Steve, probably like either annoying him or really like getting in a deep technical conversation. That's
probably
amazing.
both.
So
yeah, probably both. Oh, and I mean, and it's okay to laugh. Like we're humans. We're capable of multiple emotions at the same time. And like one thing I did not realize, and I'm sad I never got to talk to John about this or thank John for this. He wrote the Space Shuttle Lander Simulator for the Apple II.
Yeah. And
that was a thing I had played as a kid, and it just I never realized that was him. Wow. So, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's cool. So, anyway, no backlight on that keyboard. John, you will be missed. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What a good dude. So,
I didn't know John, but I got to say that says a lot about him, that when you hear of his passing, and one of the first things that comes to mind is something that makes you giggle or laugh. Man, what a great legacy that is. That right?
Yep.
I mean, horrible, sad, but the first thing that comes to mind is a great memory that makes you laugh. That's something. That's cool.
Yep.
Well, and I think
there's lots of them, many of which will not be shared publicly. He was a good human. Those of us around him were not as good as him. But there were some great. He was super fun to be around. Yeah. Really great.
I'll just add something that I think Jeff Gamet commented on this somewhere. He put dents in the universe, as Steve would like to say. Many over his lifetime, and we can only all be so lucky. So.
Yes. That well said. Yeah, he definitely put dents in the universe for sure. Yep, and great stuff. All right. Well, we've already talked about two cool stuffs found: the GoodReader, and then also John Martellaro's. I don't actually. Cool stuff that I've been made aware of. I don't know where to find the Space Shuttle Simulator. I'm sure if we can find it, we can run it in an emulator, an Apple II emulator, which I would, but I don't know where to find it. So if somebody knows, feedback at macgeekgab.com. I would love to find
First place
that.
I would check is archive.org. They have a software archive. I think they're trying to maintain that because that's a large concern of losing all these games and things over time. So it might be there, but that's the first place I'd look.
Yeah. All right. I will. I'm gonna. That's great advice. I will look for that.
But while you're doing that or whatever, I will take us to a cool stuff found from James. He says, "Hi, Mac Geek Gabbers. James from Western Australia here. Frustration melts away with the Elgato Apple AirTag sleeve." So he's talking about finding your Apple remote with AirTags. So Elgato makes a cool little sleeve for the new Apple TV 4K remote. It's sort of a soft, tactile, resilient, non-slip case for your Apple TV 4K remote that will stay put no matter so there's no more frantic searching in the depths of your furniture. One more thing, he says, there's a dedicated recess at the back of the sleeve for your existing AirTags. No need to buy more. With this Elgato sleeve, your Apple TV 4K remote becomes part of the upgraded and easy-to-find search function. Not that you'll ever need it with this sleeve. So the sleeve makes it, a little bit easier to find, but then also with the AirTag, you're definitely not going to lose it.
Huh.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Can I offer a quick correction? It's Elago, not Elgato. I thought it was Elgato too when I first read it, but it's Elago.
Oh, yeah, this is Elago. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm used to Elgato.
I read it as Elgato too because they've got so many cool.
I just assumed. Yes, thank you, Pete. Sorry for that. It's Elago.
That's a really smart design. I like it. $12
That's gorgeous.
on Amazon as of this moment that I am looking at it. But yeah, smart.
How do I have a feeling that the brand name was somewhat deliberate?
What? Say it ain't so. All right. We talked in episode 1132 about some AirDrop issues, and we got several emails about this. The first was from Keynes. He says, listener Dan mentioned that he was trying to tame AirDrop. He says, I wanted to share a simple alternative that might be helpful. Blip at blip.net is a free, lightweight file transfer app that works as well as an AirDrop-style replacement between Apple devices. It allows quick transfers between Macs over the local network with a simple interface and no cloud storage involved, keeping transfers direct and private. Could be a useful option for listeners who like the idea of AirDrop, but want a simple third-party tool to manage file transfers between their Apple devices. Thank you, Akins. And then new listener Allison, who is recovering, it sounds like fairly well from her recent injury, said that shared the same thing and says it can act just like AirDrop between devices within your own home, and it's cross-platform, which means that if you have an Android phone and a Mac or an iPhone and a PC or any combination thereof, you could actually blip between the two of them, whereas AirDrop would never work. So we've got a link to that in the show notes. Thank you to both of you for those comments.
And when I saw Blip, I went, oh, that's cool. And I played with it a little bit. And then I also found another one called LocalSend, which is also cross-platform on Windows and Android and iOS and macOS and all that, and is also open source. And I play with that, and that's also slick. So nice to have something besides AirDrop, which is, I think, gotten harder to use over the years, just in my personal experience.
Cool. What's next, Adam? I think.
Am I up next? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
We got one from Greg. Oh, it's the good one we were talking about earlier. Greg says, "Hey, I am getting a 2026 CR-V EX soon, and I heard that car is like the gold standard for this device-based." For this device based on asking ChatGPT. So he asked ChatGPT about compatibility of the Comma 4 AI self-driving car system. He says that car has the best support for it and can support actually many car manufacturers, 325 plus cars. It looks really cool, and he's thinking about getting it, but what do we think? Would you trust this? And for anybody who doesn't know, Comma AI, I've been aware of them. They've been around for a long, long time. It's actually a company founded by George Geohotz and people from way back in the early days of the iPhone when jailbreaking was a thing might know who that is. He was a developer, well, a kid really at the time. I think he was like 15 or 16. And he was like the number one guy doing iPhone jailbreaks. So an iPhone would come out and he would jailbreak them and then publish that stuff. I think he actually also eventually got a job for Apple for a brief period.
Is that right?
Yeah,
actually, it makes sense.
They like hired him, and then he started
Quit breaking our phones.
This company, which is like an aftermarket AI self-driving system, and they've been working on it. I guess they're on version 4 now. It sounds like for decades. And I think the reason the CR-V, and I could be wrong on this, but I think I remember. I think the reason the CR-V is so advanced for it is I believe that's the vehicle George had that he originally started. Like I forget what year model it was. Like it was like an old one. And he started developing for that. So like just the integration systems and stuff like that. But I think it uses a lot of the built-in stuff. And I think it uses, obviously they don't have a lot of the advanced LiDAR sensors and stuff like that. As far as I'm aware, at least with the original development, it was all based on the camera systems, kind of like what Tesla, the sort of the model of self-driving that Tesla's been going after with not having a bunch of extra LiDAR stuff. But
Yeah, it is. But I looked into this because I was like, oh, I'm super into my Subaru 2025 Outback has some like advanced assistance features. I wouldn't call it self-driving, but it certainly does things where it drives much of the time for me. Right. And so I looked at this, and this basically does the same thing that my current car does. So it's worth looking at. If your car doesn't do these things, I highly recommend looking into this because it is life-changing. But it is not doing full self-driving. It's doing lane centering, adaptive cruise, and then the one thing that it does that my car doesn't and other cars will do is that it will do lane changing too, which is that's a little more advanced. But the lane centering and adaptive cruise, like you said, these would have to tap into the car's existing systems and sensors. Like if the car doesn't have any kind of lane assist.
So you're saying my 92 Saturn isn't going to
probably not, Pete. Yeah. Well, right, but like it needs to have the capability of adjusting your steering. This could do more with it, but it's got to be able to tap into something that exists because you're not attaching something to your steering wheel. You're plugging this in, I think, to the OBD2 connector on your car and leveraging the car's cameras and all those things. And it has its own cameras. It's a dash cam as well and all those other things. And the adaptive cruise, of course, your car has to have cruise control to begin with. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to. There's no system for it to go and touch to do these things. But yeah, this looks pretty cool. It's about $1,000. And yeah, but like versus a car that, I mean, if you're buying a new car, think of the functionality. And he/they say that unlike what I have to deal with in my car, which, when I'm on the highway and it's keeping me in the lane and adaptive cruise and doing all the things, every, 30 seconds, it's like, make sure you put your hands on the wheel. It's like, yeah. I know. I freaking know. Like, dude, a lot of times it'll tell me to put my hands on the wheel, like after I've changed lanes. It's like, oh, your car changed lanes. Put your hands on the wheel. It's like, how do you think the car changed lanes? You were keeping it in the lane. I moved it. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it says it can drive for hours without driver action, which is very cool. Yeah. That's
I always like it when my hands are on the steering wheel and it says, put hands on wheel. It's aligned. It's going right down the road with no problem.
Yeah. So it's not true FSD. I mean, again, I think that's the ultimate goal. But
right. Oh, it'll get there. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Interesting. I love it. I think it's great that this exists. Cool. Yeah. Fun stuff. Yeah, we're done. We got to be done. It's that time. There we go.
It's that time.
Are
we going to get spit out onto the internet now?
I think we've been spitting out onto the internet for long enough, and we need to stop, Pete. That's what. That's the whole issue.
We're getting spit out of the internet then.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Make sure to go to macgeekgab.com/giveaway to register for this month's giveaway. And then on April 1st, register for next month's giveaway. I won't. I could. I'm sure. It's not confidential. But I'm not going to tell you who it is. But it is a company we have mentioned in today's episode, now that I'm thinking about it. Not unintentionally. But it is a company that's part of the Mac Geek Gab ecosystem. So make sure you sign up for this month and next month, because it's good. Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. If you need more of us, Adam's debut film podcast, Pete's So There I Was, My Business Brain, and Gig Gab are all other shows that we do. Make sure to go download the Mac Geek Gab app at, I believe it's macgeekgab.com/app I have set up to get us there. Yes, in fact, that's correct. Thanks for hanging out. Fun. Yet again. I had enough fun to justify doing it next week. You guys?
I'm in.
I'll be here.
All right. Sounds good. Same. Adam, what's Pete's shirt say?
Once again, Pete has sage advice on his chest. Don't get caught.
It's on my back, too.
Where else do you have it, Pete?
Inside the collar.
Okay, that's enough. Gotta go. See you, folks. Later. Bye.